Have you ever considered how the world might have looked if the Nazi regime had never come to power? A chilling thought, isn't it? Let's delve into the roots of Nazism, a dark chapter in our shared history that forever changed the course of humanity. In the aftermath of World War I, Germany was left in ruins. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, had severe implications for the defeated nation. It stripped Germany of its territories, drastically reduced its military, and imposed crippling reparations. This treaty, seen by many Germans as a betrayal, created a hotbed of resentment and nationalism. Amidst this turbulent socio-political climate, the ideology of Nazism found fertile ground. It was a doctrine that promised to restore the pride of the German people, to reclaim their lost territories, and to rise from the ashes of their shattered economy. The stage was set for the emergence of a charismatic leader who promised to restore Germany to its former glory. They enter Adolf Hitler, a man of immense charisma and dangerous ideology. Born in Braunau am Inn, Austria, Hitler's early life was marked by struggle, ambition, and a growing resentment towards the powers that dictated the fate of his homeland after the First World War. In the wake of the war's end, Germany was a nation in shambles, burdened with reparations and struggling to reclaim its national pride. It was in this climate of discontent that Hitler found his calling, channeling his deep-seated anger and disillusionment into a potent political force. Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, which would later evolve into the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party, as we know it today. His mesmerizing speeches and persuasive rhetoric quickly propelled him to the forefront of the party. Hitler's charisma, combined with a talent for tapping into the collective angst of the German people, made him an irresistible force. The Nazi Party's tactics were as cunning as they were ruthless. Propaganda was their most powerful weapon, used to manipulate public opinion and instill a deeply rooted belief in the Aryan racial superiority. They suppressed any opposition with an iron fist, employing intimidation, violence, and even murder to silence their critics. But perhaps their most insidious tactic was the indoctrination of youth. The Hitler Youth, a paramilitary organization, was established to shape the minds of young Germans, ensuring the perpetuation of Nazi ideology. They were taught to idolize Hitler, to believe in the supremacy of the Aryan race, and to view all others as inferior. By the early 30s, Hitler had ascended to the position of Chancellor, and within a year, following the death of President Paul von Hindenburg, he declared himself the Führer, the absolute leader of Nazi Germany. With Hitler at its helm, the Nazi regime was poised to plunge the world into a devastating conflict. A conflict that would forever alter the course of human history, leaving an indelible scar on the face of humanity. The reign of the Nazi regime was marked by a terror the world had never seen before. The Nazis' reign of terror was defined by radical policies aiming to establish a racially pure state. The Nuremberg laws of 1935 were the first of many, stripping Jews of their rights and segregating them from society. These laws were the stepping stones toward the final solution, a chilling plan for systematic genocide. The Holocaust, a term that sends shivers down our spine even today, was the horrific manifestation of this plan. 6 million Jews were systematically exterminated in concentration and extermination camps such as Auschwitz and Treblinka. This genocide was a horrifying display of hate, discrimination, and a complete disregard for human life. Alongside this, the Nazis embarked on a campaign of aggressive expansion, triggering the most destructive conflict in human history, World War II. This war saw the loss of over 70 million lives, military and civilian alike. Nazi Germany invaded Poland, France, and a host of other countries, spreading their reign of terror across the globe. The Nazi regime's impact was not limited to the war front. Back home, it wrought havoc on German society. Propaganda was used to manipulate public opinion. Children were indoctrinated in Hitler Youth, and dissent was brutally suppressed. The regime infiltrated every aspect of life, creating a climate of fear and paranoia. This reign of terror was not just about the physical damage caused, it was also about the psychological and emotional scars it left behind. The survivors of the Holocaust and those who lived under the Nazi regime were left with deep-seated trauma that would echo through generations. The reign of terror spread by the Nazi regime was truly a dark chapter in human history. It serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of hatred, intolerance, and racial superiority. The Nazi regime, under the guise of racial superiority, committed atrocities that shook the conscience of humanity. But every reign of terror must come to an end. And so it was with the Nazi regime. The turning point arrived with World War II, as the tide began to turn against the Axis powers. The Allies, with their combined might and resolve, began to reclaim territory, inching closer to the heart of Nazi Germany. The D-Day invasion, a pivotal moment in the war, marked the beginning of the end for Hitler's reign. This massive military operation saw Allied forces storm the beaches of Normandy, breaking the Atlantic Wall and setting the stage for the final assault on Germany. In the face of impending defeat, Hitler chose suicide over capture, dying in his bunker in Berlin. His death signified the collapse of the Nazi regime, but it was far from the end of the story. The Nuremberg trials followed, a series of military tribunals held to bring Nazi war criminals to justice. These trials highlighted the extent of the Nazis' crimes against humanity and set a precedent for international law. The aftermath of the regime's fall was profound. Germany was divided, its people left to grapple with the horrors of their recent past. The impact of the Nazi era rippled outwards, changing the course of history and reshaping the world's approach to war, human rights, and international relations. Thus, the Nazi regime fell, leaving behind a legacy of horror, but also a world determined to prevent such atrocities from happening again. As we reflect on the rise, reign, and fall of the Nazi regime, we are reminded of the destructive power of hate and fear. This chapter in history underscores the importance of vigilance against ideologies that fuel division and violence. It highlights the need to understand our past, not just to remember, but to learn and grow. It's a call to promote tolerance, peace, and unity among all. Remember, the past is a mirror to the future. Let us learn from it and strive to build a world free from hate and prejudice.